Ian.
Yes, Dave.
Welcome to the Apex Adjacent podcast, Ian.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here. What is this show all about?
Politics, ostensibly. But you know what? It's going to be a return to form this evening. Nothing's blown up, like crazy bad. It's just been like the standard level of bad, right? Or a
Just
slightly
baseline level.
right. Yeah. Exactly. So we're actually
return to normal and talk about poop for an hour.
Poop, a little, some of that, some cars, and as is a foundational pillar of this show, let's also start with one of us apologizing. So our good buddy Jared in Kansas City sent an email, and I really appreciate your email, Jared, because I went a little too hard on Kansas City last week. I'm still just, very shell-shocked from all of the Trump stuff. And so it's very easy to get me riled up. I often live up to the ginger stereotype of being very quick to anger. I will certainly own that. But yeah, so I wanted to apologize because I do feel like I went a little too hard on Kansas City. So Kansas City specifically. The rest of the state of Missouri can suck it. But don't get me started on Branson, all right? But Kansas City has some fantastic cultural aspects. It has one of the greatest art museums in the Midwest. It destroys the Denver Art Museum. Like the Nelson Atkins Museum of Art is amazing. Town Topic, like so many nostalgia things from like my family and my father and stuff like that. So many legitimately good things. And some very, very good people. And our buddy Jared is one of them. My buddy Joe, the incredible photographer. These are people that like. And Jared used to live in Denver, right? So now he has that place he can actually afford and no traffic, right? Mm-hmm. Like oftentimes I think of people that like embrace Kansas City, and I think of my buddy Joe, and my dad, and they really have that in common. So it's something that I think fondly of. So I went a little hard on Kansas City. I apologize, and thank you for your email, Jared. I really appreciate it.
Well, I accept your apology on behalf of everybody who's been to Kansas City once.
Right. Or done I've driven through, right?
Right.
Yeah.
No, I've actually stayed in Kansas City. It was lovely. But I think we all do this with our hometown. People who made a very conscious decision to leave their hometowns,
yes.
Like they do that. I once compared the town I went to high school in to a North Korean prison camp. Unfavorably, I compared it to a North Korean prison camp. So, I understand. I understand the impulse.
Right. The thing that I think drives me more nuts than going too hard on Kansas City or like on one's hometown is the people that have the native stickers here in Colorado. Like, good job, your parents fucked here. Like, there's no what did you do about it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I wanted to get that off at the top. I appreciate your email, Jared, and I mean, if you happen to be north of the river, go get a Hayes hamburger. So please do that and report back. If there's one thing I can be trusted for, it is Kansas City food takes. So
yeah.
Right.
What's really funny about your Kansas City food stuff, and this is a total now it's just total tangent at this point.
We will get back to cars.
What I love about it is that I've always known you to be, sweets aside, a fairly healthy eater.
Right.
I have never once heard you recommend like a salad,
right,
or even really a vegetable of any sort in Kansas City.
Right.
It is smoked meats. Burgers.
Yeah, greasy burgers. Some
combination of the two.
Yeah. Ian, it's Kansas City, right? They grow all. It's like when we went to Wisconsin. They grow all the vegetables there and then ship them the fuck out of the state.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's some fantastic, like when the farm to table like restaurant movement like started happening in Kansas City, it was great because the farm is like right here. Like it is
Yeah.
right there. You know? Yeah. So that kind of stuff was fantastic. So yes. Yes. Also, like, you know, I do eat fairly healthy, not as healthy as I should, right? Um, but I mean, like nobody like really like remembers like the it look nobody pines for the salad that they had that like really saved them some calories for the day,
Right.
right?
No, it's
You
yeah.
know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway, I
Yeah. If anyone ever says like, "Oh, you're going to whatever city, you gotta try the salad,"
right. Right. Exactly.
stop talking to that person immediately.
The only exception to that is Chicago and Lou Malnati's salad. Like the
Okay.
first, I mean, it's not a healthy salad. It's delicious, right? Yeah. So,
I can only imagine there's like 4 types of cheese on it.
no, like the ingredients are like solidly balanced. It's like a legit good salad. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
You know. So anyway, but yeah. So Ian,
Yes.
this show this evening, it's very near and dear to our hearts and our minds and our
Mhm.
butts, right?
Yes.
Because the theme of tonight's show is what, Ian?
All things technical, techie, IT, cars. We didn't discuss the name of this show ahead of time. You've sprung this on me, and I've failed miserably.
What does it say in the talkabouts, Ian?
Oh, it says Tech Show Nerd Scream.
Tech Show Nerd Scream. Ian, we're doing a tech show. Why are we qualified to do a tech show, Ian? Why?
No, apparently I can't even read. So, well, between us, we have, I'm going to say, 175 years of IT experience.
Approximately, yeah. Yep.
It feels that way sometimes.
Yeah.
No, you are a systems guy, an architect now.
Yeah, enterprise architect. Yeah.
Enterprise architect, and I am a fairly competent network engineer.
Yeah, humility and self-deprecation runs deep in the automotive podcasting community and the IT community. Go figure that's our bread and butter.
Right. And yeah, so we bring I think a unique perspective to some of these like tech car intersection type
Absolutely.
stories.
Absolutely, right? Ian, like tech runs deep with both of us. Like whether we want to admit it or not, right? Like what did you just show me before we started recording?
I got my canned air.
Yeah, you got your and
I got a little computer blower outer.
Yeah.
A different rechargeable computer blower outer.
See? There you go. There you go. Right? I've got a drone controller right here. Right? Yeah. Tech runs deep with you and I, right? You know?
Yeah.
Right? So the story that inspired this episode where I wanted to do a tech-centric episode was the story from The Drive about how BMW would publicly shame out-of-warranty drivers with smart art billboards and license plate readers and stuff like that. And in typical fashion, that story was like overblown, or BMW decided to walk it back after it was getting a lot of bad press, right?
Right.
But like the thing that you and I hear when we see a story like that is not like, well, that's an intrusion of privacy or blah, 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 like any of the bad things about it. We just look at something like that and go, well, yeah, that's possible. Like, and tech people are going to continue to be shitty tech people, right? Like, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's also, there's also an element of like, I'm glad other people are figuring out that this is possible and that it's a problem.
Right.
Because there's always I think, probably in your organization and in your past jobs or whatever, you've had people ask you, can I do this? And it's like, well, you can.
Right.
But you shouldn't.
Right. The difference between can and should, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. The question that is very hard to pin down in that like either tech to tech interface or tech to like general population interface, right?
Yeah.
You
Yes.
know, or tech
Yeah.
to government, right?
Right.
Yes.
Right. Is this
Yes.
the segue that you were telling me about?
It is, Ian. It is. Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of was talking about this in context of some political news on Twitter the other day, but basically, part of the reason that we screw up the can versus should thing is that we oftentimes misidentify the problem.
Right. Right.
And I I have always, so tech people have a thing called the OSI model, and it's 7 layers that the totality of which kind of explain how computer systems talk to one another.
Right.
And those 7 layers are technical, ranging from like, hey, my cable's unplugged, to somebody miswrote an application.
Right.
Layer 8 is sort of like, usually when IT people talk about it, it's like management, or
Right.
like management decisions or stuff like that. Right?
Operations. Right.
Yeah.
Politics. Like job politics, right? The politics of one's workplace, right? Layer 8 problems, right? It falls outside of that 7-layer, the actual things that are doing the tech work, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yes.
And I think you talk to any IT person or tech person who's been in this field for long enough, you'll run into situations where, and they'll recognize it, where someone will ask them to solve a problem that is really a layer 8 problem.
Yes.
With a technical solution.
Mm-hmm.
And it never works.
Right.
It never once works.
Right.
And my sort of rule that I say is that you can't solve a layer 8 problem with technology. You can only move the problem or make a new one.
You're exactly right. I really like that. Like that you can't solve it, but what you are doing is you are moving the problem, or you're creating a new one, right? That is a really important thing when it comes to technology and how we interact with it, and how cars and our infrastructure interacts with it, like so many things like that, right? My simplified version of that back in the day, when I would kind of deal with that more like end user support stuff, was you can solve a problem 2 ways, either with technology or with management, right?
Yes.
And so like I remember somebody wanting to install some kind of software that would like audit whether or not people had read an email, right? And right, exactly, right? And this is a perfect example of something that should not be solved with technology. It speaks to a workplace culture issue, like you pointed out in your Twitter thread, right? We're going to link to that in the show notes for sure, right? Yeah, so it's just pointing the finger, right, at where the problem is, and adding technology to the situation is absolutely not the right move, right? And I think that a lot of times with cars, we are in a situation where that addition of technology is more of well, they could do it, but they shouldn't have done it, right? And something like that BMW story with smart billboards, shaming out of warranty drivers, stuff like that, that obviously falls to the side that they should not do that, even though they could. The pieces are there, right?
Right.
Yeah. Like you can make a connection to a database from a license plate reader. That's easy, right? Should you be doing that and putting it on a billboard and saying like, hey, Tanner, you're out of warranty, buddy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's oftentimes just you're misidentifying what your problem is, right?
So take the BMW example. If BMW is coming to that conclusion that there's going to be some kind of interaction or smart billboard, what is the underlying problem there that like truly needs to be solved?
Well, the underlying problem is that their legacy buyers are not motivated to buy their new cars.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Right. And maybe if you stopped, I don't know, routing oil through an alternator bracket, they would be motivated to buy your cars.
Or just stop making your grills bigger and make exciting cars again.
Right.
Then, whatever. I mean, whatever the answer is for that particular person, but
Right. But that is definitely the problem.
right.
Right.
And technology can solve lots of problems, but they're always inherently technology problems. Like the car solved a technology problem of the horse,
Right.
right? The
Exactly.
horse solved the technology problem of walking,
Right. Right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the basic thing is the layer 8 problem remains the same of like, hey, I need to go there.
Right. Right. Got to get from point A to point B. Right.
That problem still exists
Right.
today.
Right.
We've just shortened it with technology. So we haven't completely solved that problem. It's just we've, you know, we've decreased it a little bit.
Right. 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 We've made progress towards making the process more efficient. Right.
Right.
Right. There's
Right.
progression.
The best case scenario for technology.
Right. That it is an incremental step along the way to making things better.
Right.
Right.
Now, the problem is that there's a lot of people who make their money from selling technology.
Right.
And I can't imagine what sort of terrible, sick person would work for such a company.
Right.
But every technology vendor will tell you that they are going to solve your layer 8 problem.
Yes, that's the thing, right?
And it's never true.
Right. Right.
We can address the technology shortfalls in your layer 8 problem addressing currently. It's a very different thing. It's a different conversation.
It is. It is.
And I'm going to make your layer 8 problem disappear.
Right. Right. Yes.
And so, like, I want to point to some examples of this in mobility because I've been thinking about this a lot. So,
okay.
I was thinking about this in the context of like the kind of, like the Parler getting kicked off AWS and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Deplatforming. Yeah.
But there are also lots of examples in mobility in cars specifically, like, like the goddamn electric scooters.
Yes. Yeah. The bird scooters or the lime scooters. Yeah.
Right. The problem was not that our scooters did not have motors in them. Is that we don't fund public transportation properly.
Exactly. Right. Right.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. That there were people that needed to go from point A to point B. Right. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them. Right. And and littering the streets full of electric scooters isn't the way to solve it.
Right. All of this insane investment towards autonomous cars, which will never happen, is not addressing the correct problem. The correct problem is, or the problem is not that we lack the technology to have a Jetsons car that takes us places. It's, again, we don't fund our infrastructure properly. We don't fund public transportation. We don't fund all these other things. And we don't train our drivers. We don't invest in training drivers.
Right.
The amount of money that it would take to properly do those things is nothing compared to what it would take to actually develop and put on the market a self-driving car that everybody can afford.
Right. Right. That was sustainable. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right.
It's crazy.
This kind of stuff does keep us up a lot at night as tech folks, right? And we don't wander into it too much on the show, because it is a little bit disheartening, right?
Yeah, well, and it's also, I mean, I feel like we've talked about this a little bit before, so it's kind of, so at some point it feels like beating a dead horse a little bit.
True.
But so,
I think that like some of the pieces that work towards, like, say, autonomous cars, like collision detection, like, and prevention, right? That kind of stuff. The emergency braking systems, to avoid collisions, like that kind of stuff. That's all good, right? And it solves it works towards solving a distracted driver problem, right? Or a reaction time of a driver problem, right? Like that kind of stuff. But what it would take to forklift like all of those individual components that kind of have their own little lane and are beneficial into a homogeneous autonomous driving like suite, right?
Yeah.
That's where I see the big issue, right? Because to like properly bundle all that stuff is the big effort. But like 12 people out of 20 on the road having radar guided cruise control doesn't disrupt like the other 8 drivers, right? But
Well, I don't know. I kind of disagree with that a little bit because I think that part of the reason that that leap is so difficult is that idea of like not knowing. I think that we're sort of trading distracted drivers, the distracted driver problem, which is absolutely a problem.
right,
We're not we're kind of moving that problem to be now confused drivers because we don't know exactly when these systems are going to take over.
right, right,
And if you are paying attention, it's actually sometimes more confusing. Like, am I in control of this vehicle or is the vehicle in control of the vehicle?
right, right.
And that is part of the reason that final leap is so difficult because that handoff period
Right.
is very confusing in any
Yes.
car.
Right. And like we've talked about before, it doesn't happen when you're in the middle of the road and nothing's going on, right? It happens when you're about to get into an accident or something like that. Something you're being handed a very challenging situation.
Right. Yeah. So we're still left with the problem of we haven't trained our drivers properly.
Right. Right.
Which again, I feel like would be a much lower cost
Yes.
to society financially than all of these systems that we're developing for these cars, and now only half the people have them because everyone else's car is 20 years old.
Right. Right. Right.
I don't know. That's my like frustration with the whole like driver assist systems thing is like it does change the behavior of the car on the road
Right.
as an observer. I mean, with the radar guided cruise control, there's that thing of like, are you passing someone?
Right.
Or are you just hanging out in the left lane? Or is your radar guided cruise control just not letting you get close enough
Right.
for me to recognize your intentions?
Right.
Anyway,
but the problem is somebody in the left lane, right?
Well, no, that's true.
And it comes back to training, right? Yeah.
Yes,
right.
You're right about that.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
I don't know. Like I notice a shift in your vocal tone when we talk about topics like this. You get lower and quieter, and I think that speaks to a like this isn't a fun topic, right? This isn't like zany car show, but it is a more heady intellectual topic, right? It's a shower thoughty episode.
Yeah, I think I do that too when I'm trying to be precise with my language, maybe.
Okay.
Like I don't want to say something that I'm I think it's easy to sound flippant about
sure
things like driver assist systems and autonomous cars and stuff as like, oh, I don't want to sound like I'm a Luddite because I don't think that's true.
Right.
But at the same time, there are definitely like issues with these things.
Right.
Right. To talk about.
Right. Right. Yes. You're very realistic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have your head in the clouds, right?
Right. So I think the whole point of bringing that idea up at the top of this show is that I think it helps when new technologies are introduced, especially when they become sort of like mainstreamed and people in Congress start talking about them, and
Right, right,
other people have, we kind of give tech like this kind of pass, and in our heads, and like, well, they're doing big things, and
right,
obviously some of that shine has worn off in the last few years, but there's still some of that. And just because it's a cool technology, or it seems to solve a problem, doesn't mean that it does solve a problem.
right.
And it certainly doesn't mean that it's not going to make things worse, right?
Right, right,
So just taking a step back and kind of thinking about what a technology is actually addressing as a problem and how it's going about it
right.
is important. That was it.
No,
That's my
yeah.
whole thought.
Shake off the water from the shower, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you have any like personal favorite ones, like personal things, like, I mean, it's like the tweet that goes around every once in a while of like every 6 months, some tech bro in Silicon Valley reinvents the subway.
Right, exactly. I think the thing that I often reflect upon is the fact that like the people that can make the biggest change are the people that are least informed on the topic, right? Like the legislative bodies typically are not the most well versed on technology, right?
Right.
And I don't know. And I think that there's despair and comfort in it for me, right? There's comfort that I don't feel like I'm going to have my vegan taken away from me anytime soon, right? Except when Rust comes calling, right? That's when it's going to be taken away, right? It's not going to be by the government because it's on a non-compatible road, right? Mm-hmm. So there's that. I take comfort in that we're still going to be able to have fun, and we're not going to have to work very hard to kind of carve out a space to have fun like in the next year or two, right? I don't see that changing very rapidly, right? But so there's that gratitude there, right? That we can keep doing that stuff, right? We can have some dumb cars. The despair is that it is slow moving, right? Overall, to have this ideal end state in mind where we could drastically reduce automotive fatalities and like, all of this stuff, right? There are a lot of benefits, right? People dying in car accidents is a problem, right? And there are technologies that could make an incremental step in solving that. Like, I mean, like car collision technology, Jesus, like, can you imagine getting in a wreck in like, say, like a 1990 like Honda Civic?
Right.
Right? I saw somebody driving a Porsche, the little guy, 550 on the highway at like 70 miles an hour. What if you were in an accident? You would just turn into a pink mist.
You mean a 356, like the tiny little?
No, 550, the little convertible, like the 550. Yeah. I know my Porsche 550, Ian.
That was the
James Dean. Yeah, the Spider, the little guy. Yeah. Whether it was a replica or whatever.
I was going to say that must have been a replica.
Yeah, I sent you a picture of it because I think they were on a highway exit ramp back in the day. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it was forever ago, probably before we even had the show. Right.
Oh, okay.
But I remember seeing something like that and the scale of it to other vehicles, right? Like it's just some thin sheet metal. You're going to get dissolved, right? But like collision technology nowadays is so crazy, right? So, I know that people are going to continue making a best effort to reduce automotive fatalities, right? That kind of stuff, like I'm super in favor of. Like those things that Volvo are doing, like all of that stuff. Awesome. Great. So, like anything, I think that the right approach is that you just kind of have to view it as both good and bad and be honest about the possible impacts of both ends of the spectrum, you know?
Right.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I know. It's tough. I think. I mean, I think part of my knee jerk with the driver assist things is what we're talking about. That it seems like misidentifying the problem. Like fixing a crash structure. That is a definite. That's a for sure. Like, you know, that's a technology problem insofar as it's like, oh, our steering column goes through the
right through the chest of the driver. Yeah.
right.
Right.
And the real problem is that our drivers keep crashing. But
Or is it our chest cavities are too soft?
but like I feel like the more immediate problem is the drivers are distracted now, you know.
Right.
So I mean, like crash structures and airbags and seatbelts and all that stuff, I agree, are obviously great.
Right.
But at some point, you do end up creating other problems, and you know the same argument was made with seatbelts too, of like how am I going to be able to get out of the car and blah blah blah, whatever. But I think that the more intrusive the technology into your actual driving, the more complicated those arguments become.
Right. I get that. Yeah. Like, yeah, there's like, I can see that being like a fairly linear graph, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah. So I agree. Yeah. Ian,
Yes.
do you want to lighten things up a little bit?
I would love to.
Okay. I have a license plate game for you. I have a vanity plate game for you. Okay?
The vanity plate game. So, for anyone who hasn't seen this, while Dave pulls it up, Dave gives me 3 cars with the vanity plates blacked out.
Yes.
And then he gives me the vanity plates, and I have to match the vanity plate to the car.
Yes.
And I have a record that is, let me tell you, mixed.
You are correct. Okay. All right, Ian, I have 3 cars for you, and here's the thing, Ian. It's tech themed. Okay? All right. So, do you want the cars first or the plates first? This is your choice. This is a new thing I'm adding.
Give me the cars first.
Okay. All right. Okay.
And because I want to give you my gut reaction of who drives this car.
Okay. Good. I like that. Okay.
It'll add a little component to it.
Now, none of these are pictures that I've seen. They're pictures that I've taken. None of these are pictures that I've seen. Then what are we even doing here, Dave? Yeah. I was watching a compilation on YouTube earlier today of Steve Harvey Family Feud clips of people that just make dumb answers. I highly recommend finding those on YouTube and just putting them on the background when you're feeling bad or maybe not feeling so good about yourself. Because people say some dumb shit when they have studio lights pointed at them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So busy day at work today?
Had it on in the background, Ian. Yeah. So, okay. So I found all these pictures on the internet. They're not mine. I didn't bother gathering, credit. So here we go. Okay. Here's the first one, Ian. This picture.
Showing these to the people as well. Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Yes. So this is a white Jaguar XK8.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. Yeah, XK8.
Yeah.
Okay. Not a lot of information to go off of here.
Right.
It's not even the full back of the car.
Right. But when you Google for like tech vanity plates, it's hard to find something that shows even a bit of the car. I wanted you to have some context for these, so I picked things that do show a bit of the car and sometimes more.
Oh.
Okay. All right. So that's the first first car there. White Jaguar. Second car, Ian. All right. It is a silver Pontiac Grand Prix.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Nothing fancy like a GTP.
No, no.
Okay. Ian is scrutinizing the image.
Making some notes. We got a trailer hitch.
Okay. Well, very observant, Ian.
Probably for a bike rack. We've got the sunroof cracked in the vent position.
Yep.
Looks like.
Yep.
Okay, and it looks
Okay.
very very clean.
It
It
does.
looks okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Third plate. You're going to like, or third car. You're going to like this one. All right. Here you go. This one features the owner in what can only be described as a faded Tommy Bahama shirt. All right. This gentleman has some facial piercings, lip and both eyebrows. He's got some pins in his pocket, and he's sitting in front of his maroonish red Honda Accord. Okay.
And I'm just gonna say I've never met this person before,
Okay.
but I know this person.
Right. Right. Yes.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Every IT shop has this person.
Uh-huh.
If you work in IT and you look like you Googled cool person from like 3 decades at a time.
Right. If you somehow have Neo from the Matrix and Jimmy Buffett integrated into your wardrobe, right? Yeah.
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 Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, the sunglasses, man. For some reason the sunglasses pull it together for me.
Okay. Okay. They bother you, huh? Yeah.
No, it's just like
seal it up.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay. For me, it's the stuff in his front pocket. Yeah. And also the fact that you can see the reflection of him taking the selfie in the trunk of the car. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. Okay. All right, Ian. So let me give you what the plates are. Okay.
Okay.
All right. First plate. Letter S, letter U, both capital. Sierra, uniform. Space. Okay. Root. Capital R. Oscar, Tango. SU root. Okay.
I've got a guess already for that one. All right.
Okay. Second plate. Okay. All right. I need you to write this one down. It's going to get a little complicated. Okay. All of these are capital. Okay.
Yep.
I'll do a phonetic for you. Okay.
Okay.
Foxtrot. 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 Foxtrot.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Last one, Ian. Mac Geek. MacGeek. Mac Geek. And that sigh from Ian was me just dropping a hand grenade into whatever theory he had for this vanity plate. Yeah, buddy. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
You've got the Honda Accord guy. Mm-hmm. You've got the Grand Prix, Pontiac Grand Prix. All right. Mm-hmm. And you've got the white Jaguar. Okay.
Oh man, this is tough.
Well, Ian, it's a tech show. Tech isn't easy.
My first thought was that SU Root was the last gentleman.
Oh, was this guy in front of his Honda Accord?
But now I'm thinking that might be Mac Geek.
Okay. All right.
This is really hard.
You know what, Ian? Remember when you were taking standardized tests in school back in the day, right? You had your, I don't know, REM shirt on, right? You're sitting there with your snappy shorts and your REM concert shirt.
All right.
Right? Trust your gut. Trust your first instinct.
My first instinct is that the Fs go with the Grand Prix.
Okay. All right.
I don't know why.
Okay. Okay.
But that's my thought.
Okay. Okay. See, so
the hex goes with the with the Grand Prix.
Okay. All right.
And then I'm going to say SU Root goes with the Jag.
Okay. Okay.
And Mac Geek is the Honda.
Okay. Okay.
I think you gave them to me in order, is what I'm saying, which is a
Okay.
bold guess.
Okay.
How many did I get right? And is it more than 0?
It is more than 0.
Is it more than 2?
Well, you can't get only 2 right when there's 3. No, it is not more than 2. Would you like to change your answer?
I would like to change my answer.
Okay. All right. Okay. I will say that for one of them, to decide one of them, all of the data that you need is present. Okay. Dead air. Dead air. All right. Ian is thinking. Yeah. Yeah. Right?
I'm guessing it's in the Honda that there's data that I'm missing.
No, I think it's much more obvious than like the weird reflection or something like that, right? I think it's much more obvious than that. Yeah.
Is it like the name of one of the cars?
Do you want to go to a story and come back to this, or do you want it?
No.
Okay. Okay.
What is the hex address all Fs? What is that?
No.
Now I'm going crazy.
Yeah, you can't Google. You can't Google.
I can't Google that?
No, you can't Google that. You can't Google that.
Okay.
All right, I need you to keep moving the cursor on the talkabouts document so I know you're not Googling it. I can tell when Ian is bored doing the show because I see his cursor jump around in the shared Google Doc that we have.
A terrible clicker.
Yeah. Uh-huh. All right. Okay. So in summation, your answer was F's for the Pontiac, right? SU Root for the Jag, and Mac Addict for the Honda. Correct?
I'm going to switch the Pontiac and the Jag. That's my change.
Boom. All 3 correct.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Here's the real pictures. All right. First up, you got your buddy, the Mac Geek.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. No, that fits.
So their Apple users are a spectrum. Okay. All right.
Uh-huh.
There's the casual Apple user, right? That might have a MacBook or just might have an iPhone and that's it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's somebody like me that is pretty deep in the Apple ecosystem, but it only goes so far. Right. I have Apple Music, but I still don't let them touch my goddamn MP3 library. Right. And I don't own an iPad. Right. Stuff like that. Right. I don't have an iWatch. Right. So this is picky. Then there's people that are just straight up all in, right?
Yeah.
Everything they have is Apple. Then there's the people that tell you about it. that is the top tier of Apple folks, right? When that is part of their identity, other than just being in an ecosystem that does work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. So thank you, Mr. Mackey. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Second, Ian. Right. We have the Pontiac Grand Prix. So this is the SU Root. Right. So I had to pick this one because you could see the car. I wanted you to at least have a car in all of these. Right. So this was the most kind of wild cardy. It could go any way. Right.
Yeah, and I think what's hard about this picture is that it's clearly an older picture. Because you look at the other cars.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So your kind of idea of like who drives this car is a little bit wonky because it's, like I said, it's clearly an older picture.
Right. If that was somebody driving that car today and it was that clean, right? Mm-hmm. I think you'd kind of feel differently about the license plate choice, right?
Yeah.
Right. So then here we have the Jaguar with FFFFF because that is the HTML color code for white.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
right?
I get it now. I get
Right?
it.
So my clue made sense. You have all the information you need, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
I like it. I
Okay.
like similarly, there's also a spectrum of Linux users.
Yes.
I'm on the part of the spectrum where I have to Google to do everything. Um, and then there's the people who, again, tell you about it.
True. Yeah, there's the Linux users that have a quite impressive command and can actually make it through a VI document with editing a document in VI without swearing,
Right.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And then there's the Linux users or Unix users that tell you about it, right?
Yeah.
And
And we'll jump into any conversation about any other computer issue that someone else in their life is having with, yeah, it's not a problem in Linux.
right, right. Well, nobody makes software for it, so
Yeah.
not true. Not so true anymore. Yeah.
That was a tough one, Dave.
Well, I think you did really well. You got the Mac person right off the bat, Ian.
Well, his face was in it. So I mean, graphic designers and Linux users basically don't have faces. So.
You know what? I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so that was the geeky license plate game for you, buddy. Right?
Okay. All right. I
What
like that.
what else you want to hit on here? We've got a couple other things we could talk about. We could talk about how Biden is having plans to replace government fleet of vehicles with electric vehicles, right?
Yeah.
What's your take on that? Give me a take.
I think it's a great idea. And actually, I read an article today about how that it will likely not apply to the post office.
Oh, okay.
Even though the postal vehicles are like perfect candidates for.
Most postal vehicles are, right? Like,
So the longest route in the country is 158 miles long.
okay.
But everyone else, like here in Denver, like think about it, like they're doing like 30 miles
True.
in a day,
Fantastic.
and then they park in the same parking lot every night.
Exactly. Exactly. The thing with the post office is like they could absolutely make a significant portion of their vehicles electric, right? And they have a long history of using alternative fuels for post office vehicles, right? But the whole thing about the post office is they're like, when it comes to like them versus UPS or FedEx or DHL or any of those other folks, they're like, motherfuckers, we like have a government mandate to get that last mile. That often you folks hand stuff off to us to deliver, right?
Right.
They hit the places that other places absolutely will not go, right? UPS can just not deliver somewhere if they don't want to. They just hand it off to the post office, right? So I think for those kind of like more challenging environments, maybe keep them down on the list and maybe convert them last, right?
Of course, yeah.
Right. But overall, post office, slam dunk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, there's like all this like layer 8 stuff, kind of the way of that, the way that they're funded and
Yeah.
the politics around giving them extra money and all that sort of stuff. So that's unfortunate because that would be like it's a huge chunk of the government fleet.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Um,
How many stamps do we have to buy to get them a Tesla?
right, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the government fleet, it would be difficult. I mean, a lot of the government fleet would be easy to do, I think,
Right.
because it's things where like you're driving the same route every day, or you're not driving that far, or whatever it is.
Right.
Again, you're returning it to the same place every night. It's not like you got to go do an overnight trip.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So yeah, no, I think it's a fantastic idea, and it's another way to kind of like help build an economy of scale to make electric cars more affordable for everybody. Right?
Exactly. Right. And to help boost the infrastructure that supports electric cars. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fleet sales of electric cars would be a great place to get to. Yes.
Exactly. Right. Right.
whether it's the government or anyone else doing
Right. Right. And I think that this is an excellent kind of loop back on like the zero sum conversation that we had, where this is absolutely a progressive step that would help everyone in the long run. Right.
it. Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because I mean, who cares if who's going to argue that um, someone driving a route with a government vehicle needs to hear the sound of whatever terrible four cylinder they have.
Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like soulful machines now
Right. Right. Right.
for enjoyment. So who cares? Like, do
Yeah.
it.
Right. Yeah. No, there's many, many gains, right? Just to be on the immediate. Yeah. No, that's awesome, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then another thing that you had on here was about like which one is this one? This was an NBC News article. Let me copy this and pop it over in the shared browser.
Yeah. So this is about how basically what happens
Wrong one.
with the data that your car collects
Yes.
already today. So this is beyond like what might happen in the future when autonomous cars become connected and start talking with infrastructure and stuff, which we've talked about in the past.
Right. Right.
This is just what's happening today with your car. So I mean, we've joked on the show before about how like if there is a heaven and you have to do good deeds to get into it, my entry will be based solely on the number of fellow car renters data I've deleted out of cars.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The Bluetooth devices you've deleted from rental cars, right? Yes, this tech good deed that you just spread across the country pre-pandemic, right?
Yes.
Yes. Right. While I would go to hell because Waze knows every single time I've spent. Right?
Yeah.
That data's there. That data's there. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I saw this article about how police have data now that they can, blow up alibis, they can actually have a source of truth according to the car for a sequence of events, right?
Yeah.
And like I instantly think about all the times that Waze knows that I've broken the speed limit.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Well, they talked in here about correlating, your car knows and records when your door opens.
Yes. Okay.
And that gets recorded. And they were talking about correlating that timestamp with surveillance footage.
Oh, okay. Okay. And
Like,
everybody's on NTP now, right? We all have like synced clocks.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. If you really want to go down a rabbit hole,
Yeah.
listen, who's somehow still with us, just read about like, or there was a great, there was a really good, This American Life, I think it was, about just time and like um, how we've gotten closer and closer and closer to being on the same time as each other, and like what a radical change that has been.
Okay. Okay. Uh-huh.
Like going from like how like standard time was developed because of the railroads, because you'd have like trains show up and people would miss trains because they thought it was 20 minutes ago.
Right. Their 4 o'clock wasn't the train's 4 o'clock. Right.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And so the kind of everybody getting on the same time was not even a thing that was real until the train, because it was kind of moving faster than anything else.
Right. Right. Because time was set then by like the old school game of telephone. Like, what time do you have? Well, what, and like everyone's setting their watch off of that, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, and the position of the sun and all.
Well, yeah, but
Anyway, so this is another thing of like, you being aware of what technology is doing what, and
right. Yes.
Beat the data out of your car, people.
Yes. Don't make Ian come over to your rental car, right?
Yeah.
After you wheel it into the Enterprise lot with a scratch that wasn't there when you checked it out, right?
After you've done crime.
Yeah, after you did crime, right?
Yeah.
But you paired your Bluetooth phone.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay. All right.
You should check out this article.
I'll link it in the show notes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and there's some really kind of like crazy implications for privacy and stuff. But especially as this kind of develops and gets more pervasive.
Right. Yeah. Should
we?
Yeah, I'm sleepy.
We've got Crypt Keeper Dave. Dangerous.
It's 9:04, Ian. Crypt Keeper Dave is here. Look at these bags under my eyes.
I know.
Yeah, they just showed up.
With an FMK Cars.
Okay. FMK Cars is the game we play on the show to keep Dave awake at night.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Because we're doing a tech show.
Uh-huh.
We're going to do a system update FMK Cars.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
So this was an FMK Cars that we did back in the day.
Okay.
But now I've updated it. We finally stopped snoozing it after all these weeks of getting that notification.
Right.
And we've finally gotten the update. And wouldn't you know it, it's worse than it was before.
I was going to say we booted into some dock icons that we don't like. Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Don't get me started on Big Sur. Sir. Yeah.
Okay. So the first one, the original one was it was I tried to have you play a 30 Rock clip, which I think was not successful.
Oh, the synergy. Yes, the 30 Rock synergy. That's the best presentation I've ever seen. Yes. Okay.
Companies and their supercars.
Okay.
And I'll just quickly run through that one so you can remember. It was Pagani got bought by Tinder, and by driving this car, you became their brand ambassador.
Okay.
Ferrari was bought by Facebook, so now you shout like at every snippet of conversation you overhear.
Like.
Yeah. And this was prescient. Oh man, I wrote this a few years ago now.
Oh yeah?
Whenever someone posts some wackadoodle conspiracy theory or political view on Facebook, you believe it with all your heart and talk about it IRL.
No, Ian, you predicted QAnon.
I did. I may have willed it into being. I'm sorry.
Are you Q? Is Q as hairy as you?
And the last one was the Porsche GT. Porsche is owned by Microsoft. You're a Microsoft guy. You carry a BlackBerry and say things like, actually, my Windows phone will do everything your iPhone can do. You have a Zune. And you enter every room like Steve Ballmer at the 2006 Microsoft.
That's right. I actually thought about buying a Zune on eBay just to see if I could move it to flash storage. What it'd be like?
I mean, probably still not good.
Yeah. For some reason, I wanted a brown MP3 player. Yeah.
Okay. So this one's called Please Update Your Systems. New tech companies and their new supercars.
Okay. I like this. Okay.
All right. So the first one is a McLaren 720S.
Okay. 720S. It looks like all the other McLarens.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Gotcha.
But now Twitter owns McLaren.
Oh, okay. All right.
And now you are the human equivalent of doom scrolling.
Ah, okay. So
you drive to places and get out and kind of just deliver a stream of bad news.
Okay.
Start every conversation with a quick story about a cute animal.
Yes. Okay.
That's what gets people going.
You have to get that initial dopamine hit. Yeah.
And then just terrible statements from politicians.
Gotcha.
Bad news about the pandemic.
And then a puppy video.
And then just a little taste.
Right.
Sprinkle of otter.
Yeah, or I just show them box art from an 80s Nintendo game. If
Right?
you're anything like my Twitter feed. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then back to Doom. Okay.
exactly.
Okay. Okay. All right. McLaren and Doom. I'm making a note. Okay.
Okay. Now, the next one is a Lamborghini Huracan rear-wheel drive, which is supposed to be a just amazing car.
Okay.
WeWork bought Lamborghini somehow. You remember
WeWork. Oh, yeah. God, are they still in business? The shared workplace thing?
Are somehow? Yeah, it was the shared workplace that was supposed to be like disruptive, but it was a shared workplace. Like it was not anything different than anyone has been doing for like 30 years.
Right. Right.
And they kind of went bust because they were paying like crazy money, and their stock got like way overvalued, and then they all kind of fell out from underneath them.
Right. Right.
So your car is an internet hotspot,
Oh, okay.
maker, and a foosball table in the front. And you can't afford your lease payment in the slightest.
Oh, okay.
So this is, I mean, you're playing fast and loose. It's all going to crumble down at some point, but you got a Lamborghini, you got people working.
Yep.
They have espresso, they're stylish with the foosball tables.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay.
You disrupt yourself right back into your parents' basement.
Okay. You got it. You got it. Okay. All right. I like that.
This last one is very timely.
Okay.
Corvette C8.
Oh, okay.
One. Let's pretend that the ZR1 version is out. You can have the top of the line crazy one.
Okay.
And this one is the catch for this one is actually inspired by our old friend of the show, Derek Mead.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
He tweeted something the other day, which I thought was really, really funny. And
Of Motherboard and Vice. Yeah, Derek Mead. Yeah. He's great. He's so great.
If you click on the reference,
yeah, that's right. Okay.
He said, hacking CarPlay to integrate Robinhood so that my car buys random stock at a rate based on the accelerator position.
Okay.
So your car will buy and sell stock based on your inputs in the car.
I like that your reply, honk the horn to sell it all. Did Derek like that? Or was that someone else that liked it?
He did.
Okay. Okay. When you get a like from the person that started it, yeah, that's gold. That's good. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. So I have a Corvette with stonks.
You do. Donked Corvette, which is way less cool than a donked Corvette.
It is. It is. Depends on the stonk you're buying. But yeah. So what's my portfolio like, bro?
You know what? It depends on what you're typing into the CarPlay.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So if I'm driving very lightly, I'm just making minimal investments, right? If I'm hammering it, then I'm buying like Bed Bath and Beyond, right?
Yes. Then it's full on stonks. Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. Now seems like a great time to pick up BlackBerry stock.
Yeah. And if you don't know what stonks are, congratulations.
Yeah, exactly. You don't live on the internet like us two assholes. Yeah. Right?
Less online than us.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Oh man. Okay, so I don't gamble, right? I don't have much of a stock portfolio. I can't do that kind of stuff, right? It never pans out for me, you know?
I am extremely bad at it.
Yeah. 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 You could basically make a living doing the opposite of what I do.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think I do have to kill the vet and the stonks.
Okay.
But I'm intrigued by the idea. You know how often I do actually drive like a real human grandpa, right?
Yeah.
How often is that, right? It's fairly often. I drive like a grandpa.
You would have a very large portfolio of like bonds.
Just very, very safe things, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like a savings account with like 0.0001% interest.
Right. Yeah. The most tame money market account you could possibly find. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd want to get a little cheesy with the vet, and
Yeah.
I can't have that ding in my portfolio than it already is dinging my, speeding tickets and, all of that stuff. Right. So
Okay.
I think I do have to kill I think I have to kill the vet.
Okay.
Um, and then, you know what? Oh man. Okay, no. I I'm going to marry the vet. I'm making an abrupt turn. I'm going to marry the vet. Okay? All right.
Okay.
I have reasons. I'm going to come back to it. Okay?
Okay.
The McLaren and doom scrolling, okay? I could not inflict that on another human being, right? And go to sleep at night, right? If I was the source of false dopamine and addiction, right? If that came back to me, I'd be very sad. So I think I'm going to F the McLaren and just do that for no. Kill the McLaren, right? I know, I'm all over the map. This is Sleepy Day. I'm all over the map. Kill the McLaren. Then for the Huracan and the internet hotspot, the WeWork stuff, just single day, just blaze that fucker right towards the horizon, right?
Yeah, much
just
like WeWork itself. Yeah.
Right? Just a brick on the accelerator, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So you and I are Thelma and Louising in the Huracan, right? And then for the vet with stonks, the reason I'm marrying that is to just take you for rides and continue driving like a grandpa and just watch you lose your mind as like 600 horsepower is just put to waste and I'm only using like 4 of it. Right? And every now and then I'm like, I'm gonna treat myself. I'm gonna go past 1200 RPM.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So I think it'd be fun to antagonize you with that and also putter around in a Corvette. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I like a good putter in a car. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
you do.
I drove my buddy Steven's Audi that he had before his current one. And it was, one of the 3.0 supercharged, A6s. And I drove it like a grandpa. He's like, dude, like, I've been with you in your Saab. Like, what are you doing? I was like, well, it's your car. I just like driving it. It's very nice. It's like, get on it. No, it's just a nice car. Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I appreciate you updating it. What do you think you would do?
I think, I mean, honestly, the 720S, I feel like that catches it super far off of just how I am now.
True. You know what? That's a good point. Okay.
I do think the idea of just knowing the bottom's gonna fall out and just doing it for one day in a blaze of glory, like, I know that reality would be the same with the Corvette.
Okay.
For some reason, I feel like having the hope that it wouldn't be would be more destructive.
Oh, you know what? That's exactly right. Yeah. You know what kills you? That hope.
Yeah.
That's how they get you.
If you know your fate is sealed, like, just go for it. Have fun if you can.
Right. If you think that there's a chance you're going to come out of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that knowing myself, I would do the Lamborghini for a day and I would marry the McLaren.
Okay. All right.
And I think that's probably what I would do. If it was just the cars, I think I would marry the Lambo.
Okay. Yeah. Right. And I do want to like lightly correct it. I don't think that that's how like the doom scrolling is not you. I think that that's just how general conversation with other humans is right now.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So it's not just you. You're not a human doom scroll. I think just general conversation with somebody is, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I appreciate that, Ian. That's a good one.
Thank you.
I'm very sleepy.
We did a car show.
We did, Ian.
And it was sort of about pewters.
Yeah, we talked about computers and cars.
We did such a good job. Good boy.
And I apologized for yelling at Kansas City.
Yeah. And we played a license plate game and an FMK cars.
Yeah.
Successful show.
Absolutely. Yes. Ian, people can check for the links. I'll put some links in the show notes this time. Start making a habit of more of that stuff. Right?
Mm-hmm. You can probably tweet something at some place at some time.
I can? What?
We'll tweet.
We'll tweet a thing.
If we want to, we'll do it. You can call us, leave us a voicemail, or send us a text message with even a photograph.
Yes. 720-515-1391.
Almost gave out my work phone number. That's what's in my brain.
Well, it's a good thing we just don't broadcast this straight to the internet. There's some editing that happens.
Or you can email us at apexadjacent@gmail.com.
Yes, absolutely. So do all that. I don't know. For fun, just drop by iTunes or Apple Podcasts and give us a review. We haven't had one of those for a while.
Yeah. That would be lovely.
Right?
And fun for the whole family.
Yeah, absolutely. We have some more stuff that we're excited about coming up. Some stuff. So, stay tuned. But yeah, we
we love you, everybody. Stay safe. Goodbye.